I'm going to have to be honest. And I know this might frustrate Storm fans, but I've just got to call it like I see it. I am a fan of the ref backing himself and making a big call in a big moment. And if you want to sit there and say, oh, that's been let go throughout the game and it was kind of a penalty, but it's, where's the consistency or whatever? Yeah, okay, maybe we can have that argument. But I just think we need to back our refs in big moments to have the guts to make the call. And in the end of the day, he did make contact with his head. At the end of the day, he did make contact with his head. At the end of the day, they were warned so many times to turn it down a notch, and they just didn't. And if anything, and I know Storm fans aren't going to want to hear this, I think what lost them the game is they lost their heads. They allowed the Raiders to niggle them into losing their heads. I thought the Trent Leora elbow on the ground, I thought that was a penalty. The Stefano one, yeah, you could sit there and say, he was just trying to play the ball and Starling wouldn't let go, but he still lost his head. I backed the refs in on this one. I really liked that he had the guts to make the tough calls in key moments. How often do we watch games where the tough calls aren't made in key moments because the ref doesn't want to make it? I back him in. I think it was I think it was right enough to be the right call at the right time.
I agree with you. And yeah, I think the Melbourne Storm, it's not very often you see them lose their heads like that, and especially to lose their heads when they're up in that game.
Yeah,
they threw that game away. I personally think they'll still be a top 4 side, but if they miss the top 4 this year for whatever reason, I think that'll be the game they'll look back on and go, "Geez, we shit the bed there."
I understand Storm's frustration in regards to, as I said, if you want to have a conversation about here's all these other tackles where it got nicked in the head and it wasn't a penalty, okay, sure. But I don't know, if you're being honest as a Storm fan, can you honestly sit there and say that Storm losing their head didn't contribute to their loss? Can you honestly sit there and say that the Storm couldn't have wrapped that game up in the last 5 minutes and they didn't? That's where I go, if you want to blame the ref, maybe look at what the Storm did in that last 5 minutes. And I know it sounds harsh and it's not what you want to hear after a loss, but that's just how I see it. I think I really commend the ref for making a tough call. Timmy, what do you thought, mate?
Yeah, I'd love to know what Ricky Stewart said to them before this game, because they had a game plan. A big part of that was just to get under the Melbourne Storm's skin. They went into it going, all right, we're not favourites in this one. We're taking on the premiership favourite at Suncorp Stadium. Traditionally, lots of points on that venue, even at the end of Magic Round. And they did from the word go. And Tommy Starling, he was the kingpin of it. And he did his job to a T, because the Storm were unsettled the entire game. Typically outstanding leaders as well. And we ran them down after conceding those early tries. And yeah, it just worked a treat. In terms of the penalty at the end of the game, if it was 2 weeks ago and this had happened, prior to that crackdown around head highs, I'd kind of be a bit like, all right, this happens all the time, gets let off. But after what we saw last weekend around head high crackdowns with sin bins and all sorts of things, it's like you're so ultra aware that, no, you cannot go high. And he got him high. Like, it's a penalty every day of the week. And as I said, after what we saw in round 8, you have to be better than that. Like, it's a penalty.
What about your thoughts, Roo, on the penalty?
No, I completely agree. I think it was, I think you got it right. And as you said, mate, without just echoing you, I think that we need to back our refs to do it. I like the amount of technology and everything that's in the game. I think it slows it down. At some point, you have just got to back the guy in with the whistle.
Yeah.
Like, the game survived for 100 years. It thrived for 100 years before we brought in all this technology. You're going to get some right. You're going to get some wrong. But I think you just back in the guy that's out there who's got the feel for it.
Yeah, and I think that this is, if you're sitting there and you're upset about the video ref intervening all the time, this is a moment where, okay, and I know people are going to sit there and go, if that happened to the Broncos, we wouldn't be saying this. I promise you I would be saying this, because guess what? They always come around. These 50-50 calls that may or may not have been called, you always eventually get them. You really do. And I always say this, at the end of the year, have there ever been a season where the best team didn't win? Like, it really, you could, I don't know the year. You find me the year. I haven't found the year that's happened. And I just think that in those situations, we got to back the ref. He made the call. He had the guts to make the call. He did make contact with their head. I like the fact that he had the guts to do it. In regards to that last 5 minutes, I'm just so surprised that a Bellamy coach side lost their heads like that. For example, Leora, he's auditioning for an Origin spot at the moment. And, I know it's just one game, but I'm sure Billy Slater's sitting there going, mate, I can't afford you to be losing your head like that in a key moment just against the Raiders in Magic Round, let alone in Origin. Stefano, I kind of feel a little bit bad for Stefano, because one knock on Stefano has always been he's not aggressive enough. And although he shouldn't have got engaged in the niggle, and I think the silver lining of that, even though I'm saying he shouldn't have got engaged in the silver lining is at least he's shown a bit of like mongrel and aggression, which has been missing from his game from quite a while. Again, I'm not saying that it was the right thing to do, but I'm just saying at least we're seeing Stefano really bring out that aggressive side in him. Thoughts, boys?
The Trent, his game yesterday really surprised me. As you said, like going for an Origin jersey, like you also had that game against Corey Horsburgh, who's another guy that I would assume they're probably fighting for the same jersey. At
Mate,
the moment.
they could both be starting at 13.
Yeah,
I know Cotter's there, but he hasn't been killing it.
Like I'm not sure how it's all going to play out with the judiciary, but like there's a good chance Trent could be on report 3 or 4 times from that game.
Yeah, he just lost his head.
He could get fined a mammoth or miss a couple of games there, which is going to get very close to Origin all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'm just surprised at multiple players in that Storm side losing their head. What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, so the Raiders had the game plan and they executed it and also get under their skin because like one of the most disciplined sides in the competition for many, many years, the Melbourne Storm, and notorious for it under Craig Bellamy, and to lose their head, it showed the impact that they had on them there. Like, I know you were pretty heavy and okay with the penalty on Liero for the sort of elbow in the face. I wasn't so convinced on that one just because I thought it was a bit of like rubbing it in his face on the ground. It's dirty.
But that's been a penalty though. You can't do that. Even when you tackle
rubbing
people.
in face.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore. Like that has been penalised for weeks.
Sorry. So soft and dumb. But yeah, if it's a penalty every time, so
yeah, like, I think it's soft. Like that's a part of rugby league. But that has been a penalty.
You know it's coming. You know you can't do it.
Long.
Yeah, like such a dumb penalty.
For example, it's like the Brian Kelly penalty for the Titans. Like, bro, you know you're going 10 in the bin if you do a second penalty off a scrum. Yeah. Unfortunately, with Lioro, it was just silly footy. And I'm a big fan of Lioro. Like, I think he should be in that Queensland squad. I really do. I think he's one of the most underrated forwards literally in the competition. I don't think he gets talked about enough because he's down in Melbourne.
And as you said, Kempy, like Billy looks at it, it will be a one-off because it's so out of character for Trent Liero. They just got under his skin in this game, and I don't think we've seen it or him implode like that before, and it won't happen again. You'll learn from it, but on this occasion...
It might be the making of him too. Yeah. You know, it might be just that last little lesson he needs to learn before Origin because he is, as I said, like you could argue his actions his actions did contribute to the loss for the Storm, but he's also been a huge part of their success as well this year. And I don't think Lioro gets enough appreciation, especially when you start talking rep footy. He's a bloody good forward.
Yeah, and mate, to his point, like he had the sort of the big highlight moments that cost him dearly at the end, but. Mate, they did to their whole team. Like, Kevin Munster was getting niggled at, Stefano you mentioned. Like, there was a bunch of them out there who they got under their skin. Like, he wasn't alone.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's a learning for... Because, like, funnily enough, there actually are still quite a few younger forwards in that side and younger players in that Storm side. I think they'll learn quite a lot from it. And, look, it's a Raiders side that's been together for 4 or 5 years now. So they know how to... They know how to do all that niggle. I remember watching when they played the Broncos, and it was so frustrating earlier this year. They would lie in the ruck. They would hold them down for too long, but they did it perfectly. This is rugby league. Anywhere you can get an up on your opponent, you're going to do it. You're going to do it. And I just think that it just proves that the Raiders at the moment, I think that I'm not ready to say they're a premiership threat just yet, but I think they're definitely a top 4 threat at the moment to head into the back end of the year.
Just on Trent there, like the Melbourne Storm conceded 9 penalties. He had 4 of them.
Yeah, that's bad.
That's a lot.
That's bad.
And on the Raiders, mate, like I'm not willing to say they're a premiership threat either, but I think the question is why not? Like why can't they?
Yeah, I'm just going off probably like previous years, really. I'm using the last couple of years of where they do fade a little bit towards the end of the year. But I'm not far off it, man. I'm not far off saying premiership threat. Look, I'm a bit like I wonder whether that spine during finals footy can go to another level because I know the forward pack can. That's probably my biggest question. And the outside backs, can the spine and outside backs take that next step? Because, like for example, last night we saw Kaya Weeks at his greatest, but you can also see him at his worst a couple of weeks ago as well. And it's that consistency. However, if they can continue improving like this, so right now I see them as a top 4 threat. I think that right now internally they should be sitting there going, we should probably finish in the top 4 guys. That's the goal. Anything less than top 8, though, is a disaster.
The hard thing with the Raiders is, like, every other team plays 4 weeks of finals. They pretty much play 30 weeks of it with the style that they play.
And also that they are always starting the year, not always, but usually really fit, really up, do you last the whole year? Timmy, I'd love to give you thoughts.
Yeah, well, I think a week ago we sat here and asked about them being a premiership threat or not, and said no, but now we've beaten the red hot premiership favourites, so things do change off the back of it. And you look at the standalone lineup on face value and the 1-17, and you can pick a few little things apart about do we have the spine to win it, to come up with the big plays on grand final day and a prelim against Penrith or Storm or whoever it might be. And maybe not, but to Guru's point of why not, like, who else is putting their hand up as premiership threats at the moment? Because we've just beaten Melbourne away from home. Like, obviously not in Melbourne, but it's at Suncorp Stadium.
You play Canterbury this week.
Yeah, we know the Storm have a tremendous... We know the Storm have an unreal record up there. Penrith, they're battling. They've had a good win on the weekend. The Broncos, they're sort of fallen flat again on the weekend after a great win the week before. So I sit there and go, all right, maybe the Raiders can't, but we've beaten the favourites and we're playing good, consistent footy. There's a shitload of belief in us. So I'm like... No one else is standing out at the moment.
Well, when you lay it out like that, and if you didn't have like last year and the year before kind of form guide, you would have to say from their results this year, if you're just looking at how they've played this year, you would have to say they are a premiership threat.
And like this time last year, you'd sit there and go, oh, well, I just don't see them beating the Penrith Panthers. Yeah. And this year, I mean, a few weeks ago, I was saying the same about the Melbourne Storm, but we've just done it. So,
and I mean, Matt, like if you can finish 1 or 2, which I think is quite possible, and you drag someone down to Canberra week 1 of finals, you're 80 minutes away from a grand final all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
If they're in a prelim, you get that in Canberra too, don't you?
Yeah, they beat South in Canberra a few years
so
ago.
Like, you could be 2 games in Canberra away from a grand final.
That's a great point. And like right now, who would you back to beat him in Canberra in a finals game?
Yep.
Other than, well, right, you know what? I'd probably be 50-50 right now. Now, like as if the Melbourne Storm were going down there, I'd be sitting there going...
And the thing is, mate, as you saw in this occasion, we match up well with the Melbourne Storm, who are the premiership favourites, because I think we've got a better forward pack than them. So they've got these superstars in the spine, but a few of them had their moments in this game. Pappy had a few really nice plays, but if they're getting dominated through the middle and losing in a prelim down in Canberra, whatever it might be, it's like we've got a better pack.
Jeez, I'll tell you what, the Storm are going to look at this game and just go, Jesus, we did everything so well. We fought so well for 60 minutes of the match. You could even say, 70 minutes of the match. We just let it go. We lost our heads. We allowed the niggle to get to us. And the Raiders, they just played it perfectly. They niggled and laid in the ruck and did everything you want to do when you want to upset the Storm's momentum. And the Storm let one get away. The good thing is like, at least it's against a fellow top 4 side, but it's something very unstorm-like. You don't see that very often.
Yeah, it was a game that was there to be won, and I think there's a fair argument they had won the game. Realistically, like Pappy kicked the field goal and was back at halfway, and that was done.
They would have sat there and gone, "Yeah, but job done.
Job done.
Well done, so boys. Yeah,
and rightly so. The job was done. It's the most Raiders thing of all time, isn't it?
It really is the most Raiders thing of all time. Like, talk about, the chip on the shoulder and everyone's against us, but then you get a few calls that, could go either way and you land, but, you never talk about
against
that.
Melbourne of all teams.
Yeah, you never talk about the ones you get though, do you? You just fucking, where are the battlers? No one ever gets sent of them. Anyway, it's all part of the yarn, isn't it?
Damn right, don't forget it.
What did you think of the Raiders, mate?
Raiders were excellent. I think just...
That try from KO Weeks, fuck.
Oh, I just want to know what the ref up from was, or what the words were from Stick before the game. Like going up against Bellyache, one of his old mates, and he would have been saying all that. Yeah, like, no one believes in us. The Storm, the Storm, hot premiership favourites. No one thinks we can beat them. Like they were so angry when they came out onto the field. Angry, but like they played it well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they channeled that aggression and used it really well, despite going down to that early lead. And what I just love about the Raiders right now is, 3 weeks in a row or something where we've been conceded early leads and been by like down 12 to 18 points. There was the Titans, there was the Dolphins, and at no moment did we sort of sit back and go and panicked and throw the ball around and force stupid offloads. There's clearly so much belief. We go, no, stick to our structures, we'll be okay, we can win this game, and they have, and they've come back every time, and it's just such a credit to them, and it's the belief in the side at the moment.
Mate, talk about a match winning, I know it's a match equaling, but that is, and maybe I'm being hyperbolic, but I honestly reckon that is one of the greatest individual match winners or sealers or equalisers I've ever seen.
And the pissing rain to chip over Pappy.
Yep.
Like
The degree of difficulty was extraordinary.
like extraordinary.
And what a great, he couldn't have asked for a bit of bounce, could he? In
Great
the wet.
bounce. Like almost came a little bit off the side of his boot. Like the game is on the line. There's 3 minutes to go. You need to score and you need to convert. And then you do that.
Especially like when you look at how he kicked it. Like he ran to the left of Pappy, but he kicked it over the right. Like it was just, once again, it was the most Raiders thing of all fucking time.
Mate.
But he just backed him. And like, I remember sitting there watching a month ago playing the Cowboys, and I was thinking, geez, I don't know if KO Weeks will get picked next week.
Oh, mate, there was a period there where you're like, KO Weeks is the problem. Like you put a normal fullback in there and you'll win the game.
And Ricky came out and backed him 100%.
Backed him 100%.
that. Yeah.
And also like KO, the confidence, like you could see as soon as he made that line break, he knew what he was doing. He didn't hesitate. He didn't think, I'm going to pass and draw. He said, nah, I'm the fastest bloke on this field. I'm putting it over his head and I'm backing myself. I'll gas him. And he did. It's one of the, as I said, like I know there's been some incredible plays and I'm sure there are some you could mention right now that are better, but not by much. It's one of the best individual bits of play in the conditions to equalise a game that I've seen in a very long time.
Boys, like, we're obviously struggling to crack them. Like our second try was 33 minutes in, didn't really look like it. The offload from Matty Nicholson out of nowhere.
How good's he been?
Killing it.
He comes from England. You're like, it's one of the best fullbacks in the game. There's no way he's going to get his way into it. He might be a bit lucky to come off the bench. Now he's a guaranteed starter. Comes over, scores a friggin' try his first touch against the Brisbane Broncos of all people. Like at that stage, we're a top tier side. And then game is on the line. You would expect Hudson Young, who usually game on the line, he's the one that does it. Nicholson just goes, I'll take care of this, boys. Far out.
I don't know what we paid for him, but we talk about value buys of the season. I don't know what sort of wicket he's on. He's been tremendous.
I tell you what, whoever the recruitment guy is for the Raiders, give him a raise. His ability to find diamonds in the rough and guys that aren't necessarily fully on the radar at other clubs, it's like KO Weeks, he basically got released from Manly. And I understand they've got Tommy at fullback, but again, at that club, he was more of a 14-6. And yet the Raiders, their ability to go, we can get the best out of you here and the best out of you, it's just fucking amazing. Seriously. Like I'm speaking about it all year long. I'm such an admirer of what is happening down in the nation's capital. They've got no right to be in the top four right now. They're supposed to be in a rebuild. It's supposed to be a rebuild. Like Ricky Stewart literally said, not necessarily in a rebuild, but we've got this 5-year plan, this plan with these young guys. We're trying to bring them through so that in these certain years, and all of a sudden, and I spoke about it a few weeks ago. The special thing about the Raiders, it's a positive and a negative, but they are so confident in their own ability to bash other teams that sometimes they start slow. Like you go back to the Dolphins, that was all because they were like, we know we'll bash this side when we want to. They come out in the second half and they just go bang, bang, bang. And it's a little bit similar to Storm. Like come out a little bit slow, Storm blow them off the park to a degree, but then the Raiders just go, we know we can wrangle back momentum literally anytime, any place. It's just, fucking special. Can't wait to see what happens later in the year, that's for sure. Because is there an argument to be made this side is better than the side that made the 2019 grand final on paper?
No, we're very good that year.
Who are your edge back rowers?
John Bateman.
Whitehead.
Yeah, Bateman and Whitehead. Papali'i was a bit younger and killing it.
Young is an Origin back row right now. Yeah. Bateman was good. Would he make Origin that year? Maybe, I don't know. You got Tarpanet, who is currently Dally M. You got obviously Papali'i, Horsburgh, Origin. Like I reckon on paper you might be. Now obviously you've got
just
the
that whole
factor.
team or Pap.
Whole team.
Whole team. Like BJ Leilua was killing it. Geordie Rapana was at his peak.
CNK.
Jack White
Shans was killing it. Jack White. It was a bloody good team.
Oh no, it's a good team. I just reckon
Josh
on paper
Hodgson.
there is an argument to be made that this side is as good as on paper as that side.
Croak was killing it.
And I just think that heading into this year, even me, I didn't think that. But like for example, Tamale, you could argue he's been your best outside back this year, and like he's a rookie.
He's been unbelievable.
Like his try, where he was just like, bop, all good, try time.
So strong.
So freaking strong. He's running like 200 metres plus a game. You got Savage, who is arguably the fastest player in the competition, if not the fastest, one of the fastest. You got KO Weeks putting on tries like that. Granted, he's got a long way to go, but so did CNK. Like Charles Nickel-Clockstad that season, he wasn't the man at the start of the season. He built into that year as well. You've got Starling, who is easily having the best year of his career. You've got Paddy, who is one of the best young rookies in the competition coming off the bench. I mean, I just think your depth in your forward pack is just insane as well. You got Trey Mooney can't even make the side. You got Hoskins coming off the bench.
The joys of not being able to recruit superstars to Canberra is it's a well-rounded squad.
Yeah, mate. Just an incredible knock from the Raiders.
How good were the scenes of Ricky on the sidelines?
Oh, yeah.
Piss and rain. Just absolutely loving. Just riding every moment with his team.
Yeah.
So good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's just an easy team to get around. And I think that, like, if they keep building like this, like, maybe they can rival that 2019 side. I think the only difference is obviously the Jackie White at 6. I think that's a real, like, at that stage, he obviously won the Clive Churchill. He was one of the best, in my opinion, backs in the competition at that point.
Hodjo at 9 too.
And, Hodjo at 9. But I think that you would say Fogarty is probably better than Caesar by a bit. Anyway, it is what it is. In regards to this performance, though, who stood out for you boys?
Well, you mentioned the little fella, Tommy Starling. He's the one who set the tone, and that's like, I don't know if Ricky's had a word to him. You'd imagine so pre-game. So, mate, get under their skin. You're a man, and he did his job to a T, didn't he?
And it's just like you think back a couple of weeks ago where he's jumping out of the line, shot an RCG to get a ball back, and that changes the momentum. And then, like, look at the momentum impact he had in this game via a different method, but just smart footy, smart footy. Tarpanier once again, Jesus. Any other player, any other club, he is, he's Adam Fanua Blake areas, Payne Haas areas. He's just so good. And also, what I love about Tarpanier is, like, he's old school. He doesn't go after, he'll go after anyone. He'll go after opposing front rowers. He'll go after opposing fullbacks if you want. Like, doesn't matter who it is. He'll pick a key player and he'll just target him all day long, just trying to hit him. And it's just old school. You don't really find front rowers that hunt. Like, you got guys like Liam Martin and that go hunting people. But what I like about Tarpanier is he genuinely goes hunting people and says, I'm going to pick you for the rest of the game and see what happens.
Yeah, sure.
I remember when he went after Barnett against the Warriors, I think it was last year.
Yeah.
Just good stuff.
Corey Horsburgh, obviously a pretty bad head knock in that one. I assume he'll be out. That's a huge loss going into this Canterbury game.
Yeah, massive loss. He's been so good for him. He's such a unique forward too because he looks like just a big bopper that's up and down, but he's actually got really good footwork and a bit of an offload in him as well.
Very nimble.
Yeah. In regards to games, like Tarpanier, 3 offloads, Young, 2 offloads, Nicholson, 2 offloads. Just a good win. Really, really good for the Raiders. Exactly what they needed. And they can essentially hang their hat on that for the rest of the year. They've now beaten the Broncos. They're now beaten the Melbourne Storm. Outside of the Doggies, which they've got this week. Yeah. If they get the Doggies scalp, then it really is like, you could argue they're number 1 favourites. I know I would still have the Doggies and Storm ahead of them, but they've taken both their scalps. Like, there's not many other teams in the competition that they need to beat to convince everyone that they're a premiership threat this year.
How much fun would that flight home have been back to Canberra after that?
Jesus. Okay, now onto the Storm just quickly before we finish up. Yeah, just one that got away. I know we've already spoken about it a little bit. I thought Fa'alongo, even that try where Tamale scored, you can't expect everything of Fa'alongo. He put his body in front. He did his best. He's a smaller, winger. And, maybe a bigger winger would have saved that try. But also a bigger winger would have done the other stuff that he did, which is, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm naturally a bit critical of Fa'alongo just in the defensive line because he's so small. I thought he did a good job there. He's just wrestled off. But he got there. He had the contact. Yep. He was there. It's
literally, you're just bigger than me and stronger at the moment, and I'm faster and I've got better footwork than you. It's just like the way rugby league goes.
That you spoke about Kyle Weeks' kick. That kick from Fa'alongo back into Pappy, the degree of difficulty for that was incredible, and he put it on a dime for him.
Literal dime.
His best game, do you reckon? I reckon
so far this year.
I reckon that might be the best game I've seen him play.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, it was a bloody good game. He was outstanding. He was so good. He's and I mean you talk about the Sloan situation, mate, that's what you do. Like, he's way smaller than you. That's what you do. Put your body in front and just make it work. It doesn't mean you necessarily have to stop the try, but do everything you can to stop the try. In regards to his attack, geez, he is just every time he gets the ball, it's like something's happening around Fa'alongo. 3 line breaks, 5 tackle breaks, 204 metres. Bloody good performance. I thought Pappy was good too, really incisive around the ruck, very dangerous at all times. Who stood out for you boys?
Yeah, no, I thought you sort of summed all those guys up really well there. Mate, as Timmy just said, that kick that Sewer put back into the middle, that's just so fucking impressive.
Yeah.
He's got so much ability, Fa'alongo. I'm not sure how it's all going to play out with his career and Pappy and everything, but Geez, he offers a lot. I know we already spoken to him a lot, but outside of those penalties, geez, Trent Leary plays tough.
Yeah, he's freaking tough.
Yeah.
I've got to mention it. They were missing Harry Grant, so there's obviously that. But
They definitely missed something there with him, don't they? The last couple of weeks he hasn't been there, but
they've gone from averaging like 30 points a game to like, what is it, 18, like 20, something like that, maybe.
yeah.
Just quickly, Katoa, 11 runs, 90 metres, not that impressive, but 3 offloads, 51 tackles, only 2 misses on an edge there. Like
Impactful. Like, there were some key offloads as well, like in attacking territories. He could easily have had a couple of tries.
yeah, geez, he's developed so much. Alrighty.